work, so we get a little bit of a reputation though. If someone's doing some shit, flexing a little bit, dude, I don't like bullies. I never have.
Yeah.
And you know what? Something that always stuck out to me is usually a bully has never gotten punched in the mouth.
And this kid in the front goes, "There's some fat guy over here handing out beers." I stuck my head out the window. It was my dad at the doorway, and every Marine that got off, he handed him a beer and gave him a hug. I was like, I know that fat guy! That's my dad!
That's bad.
Welcome back, or to the Hard to Kill podcast, featuring your boys, Mike and Nick.
Holla.
Another episode, and we got a special guest today. We're going to bring on after the intro here.
Justin Kasunick.
Justin Kasunick.
Kasunick.
You guys may recognize him from the last phone call we took. Good friend of Nick's and a good friend of the program. So
For sure.
that's the schedule for today's operation. But before that, we're going to recap a little bit on the last episode. The last one was just...
The last one was 9 is going to be.
Right.
So that's...
I think it was just the two of us.
Yep. In the basement still.
Yeah. Still in the studio, still bringing it hard.
I feel like we're going to progress at some point from like the basement to some cool spot. I don't know what it is yet, but I see it in my mind. Ooh. Oh,
A little something for the listeners. Yeah, I do too. I think eventually we'll grow either... Well, maybe we don't grow out of the basement, but we grow into a studio in the basement.
Or that.
Instead of... Because I'm actually going to list the pool table for sale.
Throw that into a little...
Well, the wood stove's getting put in the corner over there. And once the wood stove's put in, then I can
honestly,
kind of...
if we could knock out... That's tough. If we could knock out that wall...
All these walls are coming down. All of them. Because I got to restructure for the wood stove.
That would be plenty of room.
All electric heat living in New England.
Yeah, definitely.
Not cool, man.
Definitely.
Not cool. Electric bill like $500 a month in the winter.
So what you got to do is you got to get solar to offset your power.
I have too much tree coverage.
Fucking what you do.
No, I would though. If I thought I could, I got a couple comments from the last episode. We're going to go over a few of those.
All right.
We have my boy Greg, who said, "Momentum building on the channel. Keep up the great work, fellas. Raw truth needs to be heard. Stay blessed."
That's a fact.
Greg, you are 100% right. Raw truth does need to be heard, and we will keep up the good work.
I really feel like you don't hear like raw shit on like every channel.
No, I think a lot of people hold stuff back.
Is that worry? Is that worry about sponsors, or?
I feel like it's worry about judgment in general. But when you're like guys like us, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. You know.
That's kind of what I want to stand behind though with the channel. I feel like that makes it a certain.
Our rawness and authenticity is what brings the
really
viewers to these. To this stuff.
I think we talked about that right from the beginning when we were worried about putting beers on.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah. That was an original. Actually, that was an original conversation.
Yeah.
We were like,
trying
do
to
we have
cater
beers?
to a certain demographic that would be worried about something like that, and then it's like, I just want to be me.
Right. Yeah. Fuck that. I just want to be natural. So we're drinking no free ads, but we're drinking Busch Light. Apple. You know.
I never thought Busch would go over to that side. Put it up, like when you think of Busch Light, you think of that one flavor.
Oh, they're not good though.
No, they're definitely tasty. But when you think of Busch, you think of that skunked.
Yeah,
you know
like a Keystone almost. Yeah, I like that though.
That $5 6-pack.
I did that $17 30-pack back in the day. Dude, you remember buying 30 packs for like $20?
Yes, I do.
$19.99 to pay for a 30-pack?
It was rack, dude.
Well, yeah, we called them racks.
Racks, dude.
Yeah.
You could just easily just say rack. Where's the racks, dude?
Yeah, give me 2 racks.
Yeah, dude.
And they were always Bud Lights.
Buying booze on a fake ID was definitely an art.
Yeah.
You gotta have the lingo down up here, because...
That was something I had mastered, though.
No.
I was...
I really never got carded, dude.
I was 18 and I looked 30, so that helped, but I had the ID, and we always bought 30 packs.
Yeah.
Always 30 racks. Just load the trunk, as many as you can fit in there. That's
definitely beer drinkers.
Because I'm going to sell them at the party for fucking $40 a pop, so...
That's when you know it's a problem. That's when you know you're getting really drunk, when all the 30 racks get drunk, and then you switch to, like, hard alcohol.
Yeah.
That's when you know it's getting kicked off, dude.
Yeah. When there's no more beer in the fridge and you've got to pull the bottles down, you might as well just go to bed.
Yeah, dude, it's all bad after that.
Wrap it up, you know.
So we got one comment.
So that was...
Stab me with the other.
That was our boy Greg. And then we have here Corey Grandy.
Green.
Solid project y'all have going, and I'm anxiously awaiting the next episode. You guys are knocking it out of the park.
Dude, another...
Thank you, Corey.
Appreciate it, brother.
Thank you.
I love how down south, I don't know if you're from down south, Corey, but they can just throw y'all into anything. That's like a staple.
Dude, I've been trying to use it up here. People are not
It's
having
tough,
it.
dude. They look at you like,
Not
really?
having it.
Really?
Yeah.
Is that where you came from?
Yeah, exactly, dude. Yeah. Didn't you grow up outside of Worcester?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Y'all.
I try to throw the y'all in there
Because
every
it's
once in a while.
smooth, dude. You can like y'all this, y'all that.
Yeah, it flows with the sentence.
We don't really have a word like that up here. Like Philly has John. Actually, we have Wicked. We can throw Wicked on anything.
Yeah, it's kind of like hella for California.
Oh, I hate hella. Dude.
I hate people
I
who
can't
say
hella. I tried saying hella for a little
No
bit. And I was
offense
like,
to
dude, yeah, this isn't
California,
for me.
Nah, it's wicked.
It sounds too happy, hella. I'm hella excited, guy. No.
Nah, I'm wicked drunk.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah,
Fucking wicked
drunk.
blasted.
I'm not hella drunk.
Hella drunk. It just sounds stupid.
Sounds just soft.
It's not for me.
I got one more here. From The Simulation, who I noticed comments on a lot of our stuff. I don't know who that is, but thank you.
Appreciate it.
Another great pod. Thanks, guys. I always enjoy you too. Great chemistry and never a dull moment. Keep up the shit.
I really want to hear like
Will do.
the people in the comments that watch us as like a regular, that waits for us to come out, that bitches at us when we don't drop on like the date that we say we're going to drop, because they're regulars. I want to hear what they say about what we're doing, because honestly, you guys started with us from the beginning, and we want to know what we're doing right and what we're doing wrong. We ultimately, this is for you. We want you to like what we're doing.
And by the way, new drops are always Thursday or Sunday.
Yep.
They're not guaranteed to be it's either going to be one of those 2 days. It's never on a Monday.
Because we're either recording or we're dropping on one of those days.
Right, yeah. So that's how we've set up our schedule
We're thinking
together.
that editing takes about 3 days right now, roughly.
Yeah, three to four. The more time we give Dickie with the project, the better it comes out. The episode that we just dropped has all sorts of stuff. It's got photos of the people we talked to in it. It's got clips, and he's done a phenomenal job.
And I know they're basic, but we're just starting. Like, once we figure out how this stuff goes, you're really going to get a nice product.
And I'm in no rush, man. I'm enjoying it.
I'd rather learn it, like, from the ground up, you know, because whenever I do that, you're always that much better at it.
Right,
in the long run, you know. Like, I can be patient. I can put in the work.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Crawl, walk, run.
Absolutely.
You know, slowly we'll get there. But like I said in the beginning, we got a great interview coming up for you guys. Our buddy Justin, we talked on the phone with a couple episodes ago.
And actually, you got called out in the comments. People are like, "Yo, boy's got something."
Yeah, well, he's real.
Bring him off the bench.
He's real. That
goes a long way.
Well, it goes a long way, especially with our personalities, to come off as raw.
That's one thing I pride myself on when I like read a person, is I see what they're saying, and if it's that raw, real, you know, he went through it and he's trusting you enough to talk about it, I want to talk to you.
Yeah. So
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so stay tuned for our interview.
PTSD. It's new. It's not the easiest thing to look in the mirror and be like, shit, this is PTSD, in fact, that I'm dealing with. You actually have to go through some shit, and it's humbling.
Yeah, I had no idea that, because you hear about a lot of those kind of things when you're getting out, but no one thinks that could ever affect, like, oh, that's not me.
It took me a couple documentaries to watch. Like a couple, I don't know, have you ever heard of Restrepo?
I've heard of it, I've never seen it.
Give it a watch. So it's about a unit in Afghanistan, an army unit actually, that got fucking pummeled, dude. And someone had the wherewithal to have a camcorder on them. And basically they were up in the mountains, and it was the typical, they got comfortable in an Afghan town that was ran by the Taliban.
Right.
And the Taliban didn't want them there. And they knew the area. Yeah. The army didn't.
Right.
And they were ultimately getting shot at from an elevated position every other day by something like a PKM with a high caliber.
Yeah, that's tough, man. Because you can't.
Doesn't matter how good of a fighter you are, if you're in a bad position like that.
Yeah,
there's only so much you can do.
If you're down low, it's like shooting fish in a barrel.
You got to go up and kill them. Right. That's ultimately. It doesn't matter what caliber of weapon you shoot back at an elevated position at. You got to go up and kill them. Yeah. That's the only way you're going to triumph in that situation. Now, anyways, that's PTSD. That's a glimpse of what we dealt with on the regular. When you come back and you don't have that to lean on, like this was my mission, this is why I am the way I am, that kind of justifies your actions. You don't have much to. It's hard to compare it to like a civilian lifestyle, but that's why I brought you on, because I know you've had somewhat of a kinetic lifestyle or chaotic life, and the only way to deal with something like that is to be a very strong-minded person.
Yeah, and I like hearing that story. It just makes me think about how you endure that, because it's you get through it because it's a focused little group, right? It's like not a group, but it's a focused element of your life. Like it's so binary. It's just.
But you don't realize that at the time.
But that's how you survive it, right? So you don't go into PTSD as after that, where there's a vacuum of shit. What do I do now?
Right.
PTSD.
You're no longer in the height. Now
Right.
You're dealing with the rear.
And you're wearing a uniform, right? You're wearing a uniform. You're doing your service to the country and like your job, quote unquote, right? Now you're not wearing a uniform.
I don't have that uniform anymore.
Right. You're like 3 guys wearing t-shirts.
Yeah.
Right? And you're carrying this coin in your pocket, like what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Right. So that vacuum of space, like, when you're in that heightened state, like that reactive, like that cortisol reaction where you're just like that fight or flight, that's how you survive that moment. And then you get out of that, and you're still in uniform, and that probably keeps you, like, not to sound dickish about it, but like in character, because like this is my job, this is my uniform,
right.
This is my identity.
Right,
like I'm wearing
right.
a uniform.
Yeah.
Now you just.
Yeah, these struggles are part of who I am.
This is part of my. This is what I wear.
So not to jump into a super deep topic right from the jump, but
It's my thing.
Justin Kasunick was someone that I met in the construction field of my life. I got into solar, as Mike knows, at a very young age when I got out of the Marine Corps. And Justin was a commanding figure on a large solar site that I went to that I had to work on. And from the second I got there, he commanded my respect, and he knew every aspect of, his position and the solar field that he was instructed to finish. And ultimately that commanded my respect, and we got the job done together timely, effectively, and proficiently. And anyone that I work with on that level ultimately stays in my life, because you got to respect people you get the job done with.
You respect somebody who's got that
it's
same
not your everyday
mindset.
person that you can be a savage with on a job and absolutely complete the objective. It takes a certain type of individual to do that with, and I'm sure you had a great mentor at one point to be the way that you are.
I've had several.
And I'm sure they stick around in your life somewhat.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of them aren't on this plane anymore, but
I hear you.
I
figured that was coming.
Yeah, but it's but I'm thankful to have gleaned a lot of insight from that, and a lot of it is nature and nurture kind of thing. Like my father being in the military, like a lot of my extended family in the military, and
So
their experiences.
we had an individual his name was Paul Hill. He was just basically like 20 years older than us, was a savage in his day, and he saw the way we was kind of like him, and he more or less bullied us to be like him. Did you have an individual like that kind of gave you hard love?
He would work circles around us.
That's what I mean.
At 50-something
Just to
years
prove a
old,
point.
just to prove a point, to be like, you slow motherfuckers.
Yeah, it wasn't like that. I mean, my dad was tough. We talked about it, on the call when I called in, and then but like if you want to look at like mentors, like even as a little kid, like my grandfather, the way he carried himself, and his brothers, the way that they carried themselves, and even my great grandfather, who was a prisoner of war in World War I. He survived a mustard gas attack and lived until like 106 or some shit like that.
Savage.
I can't imagine fighting in World War I, dude.
It's like your first breath. Like it's not. I wouldn't say it's our first encounter in contemporary chemical warfare.
I do believe they were still on horseback.
Yes,
then,
there was
shooting rifles.
There was cavalry, and
trench warfare.
Yeah, so that trench warfare, and he was in in the Battle of Pan in France. He got captured in France in 19...
By the Germans?
17, yes.
I believe Hitler was a foot soldier back then in World War One. I don't know who Germany was ran by back then. I should know.
Yeah.
But it's crazy that Putin was Russia. It's crazy that German was such a powerhouse that early still. Germany was still a powerhouse then. Because ultimately...
It's a huge country.
Yeah, but still, they had powerhouses around it too, dude. I mean, England, Poland, Russia.
There's a reason why Hessian soldiers were fighting the Revolutionary War. Those are Germans.
We had Germans. Hessian soldiers were fighting for us in the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean...
Because they were savages.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, the Headless Horseman, Christopher Walken playing like the Headless Horseman, he was a Hessian soldier.
Yeah.
So...
I know my history, bro. So
separate. Like again, a lot of tabs open up here. So it's just like
I was usually really stoned during history, so I don't have a lot of this. But
it usually repeats itself if you don't pay
it's
attention.
very true. It's scary sometimes how it does.
Yeah, it's like it's actually boring and predictable. It's just like it's the human experience. It's just like we're not really that original.
The victor writes the story, though. I mean, in every
For a little
situation.
While, yeah, and then that's the outcome as we know it. There's a cool picture of a cylinder with the shaft of light, like a cylinder suspended in a box, right? So you have a cylinder suspended in a box, and you shoot a light at it from one angle, and the shadow on the wall on one corner of the box looks like a circle. And you shoot a shaft of light going the other way, and it looks like a square. But if you change your perspective, you look at it from up here, it's a fucking cylinder.
Yeah.
So it's
different.
It's
all about how you look at it.
We all have a side, and like that's a first person view.
Are you deep with everything you say?
Unfortunately, yes.
I like it.
So
you got to really pay attention. Be like, that's what he's going on.
It's an intricate. It's like an intricate fucking road trip in my own brain. Yeah. But I like it, dude.
Cool. Let's go for a ride.
Yeah.
It's like
here, take these.
Yeah.
Take these.
It's like I'm a blend between Yoda and Hunter S. Thompson.
Have you ever seen that? Have you ever seen that? What's that movie that Johnny Depp is in?
Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Have you ever really watched that movie?
Well, it's a book written by Hunter S. Thompson, and then
I haven't read the book, but if you really watch the movie, it is a trip among itself. Just watching what they go through. I have to read the book. Yeah. Absolutely.
I've only seen like the first 20 minutes of it when they're driving through the desert in the
See what God did to us, man? Like, wasn't it God? Like, I think.
No, I never made it that far.
Yeah, it's just like...
It's hilarious.
So...
it's really about an individual tripping on every drug imaginable and just describing it.
Well, he was a writer for Rolling Stone.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Hunter S. Thompson is a big author.
Very intricate with his words.
Yeah. But I don't think Hunter's wife took a dump on his bed. Like Johnny Depp did. Poor bastard.
Yeah.
It's like
there's got to be something else with that story.
Talk about a shitty situation.
That's a half of a story.
Yeah, it's a cleanup in aisle 2.
Because you were working by yourself before.
Yes, I was self-employed for 16 years.
Yeah. 16. Holy shit.
Yeah. So
I did it for 6. And I thought that was
like
a lot.
Getting a job was funny because getting a job, when I was 41. As a construction.
How the fuck old are you, bro?
47. So, like, getting a job at 41 was like, I would laugh about, like, yeah, this is my first job.
Yeah.
like this is my first real big kid job, because I was doing my own thing,
right.
Like, as a carpenter and a builder, and
I did. That's what I did. It was the same thing.
It's there's a lot of peace in that, and a lot of satisfaction, and like, it's just.
So when you take on a project, though, you take it on as a personal responsibility.
Yes, because my license is on it. So
right.
like,
So do you think that played a factor into why you would hire vets?
They show up.
Right. Well, that's what I'm saying.
Which is great because
there's accountability.
Yeah, you get a lot of fucktards that are like, oh yeah, I've been doing it my whole life, quote unquote, and then they don't show up.
Yeah.
So it's and
dependability.
I have a couple guys like. And it's an absolute joy to call them my brothers because, like, I took them in. And I took them. I didn't take them in. Like, what am I, a shepherd?
You could be.
Yeah. But I took them on, to work with me, and that's a key term. Like, we can talk about that later on. But to work with me. That would like hire on other guys and and women. be gender biased, but like, and like they've all busted their ass, right? But and I treated them all the same. You know, I gave them all the same respect, same responsibility, that kind of thing. And it was like, this is my bar, come up to it, or, you know, the weeds weed themselves out. Right. So what I found is that my friends, and I call my brothers now because we've been through so much together over the course of my lifetime, that, you know, I gave them an opportunity. They took it seriously. They were thankful for it, you know, and like they were like, these guys were freshly out. Like one was in the Army and another one was a corpsman, at different stages of my self-employment. And you give them an opportunity, and they genuinely appreciate it.
Yeah.
You know, and they take it seriously, and they do their best.
Right.
You know, sometimes it's not so great. I'll give a shout out on this to my buddy Nate, who cut the fence on my brand new 12-inch chop saw by not moving the fence, and we still laugh about it to this day because 8 years later he did it to himself. So
no,
karma's a bitch.
Very nice.
It's like a self.
That's like that's how you know you're a carpenter. If you walk over and look at his chop saw, and the fence has like a bunch of marks,
little sliver in it.
Right.
Like you could play it like the Jewish harps, like the mouth guitar, like bing bing bing. You know, it's like a fucking hillbilly. You know, just like. But it was brand new fucking saw, and he was just like, oh god damn it. But also the tipping point, instead of just getting barked at, which is like a normal response, was just like, I remember saying, I'm like, please don't do that again.
Right.
You know, and we get on with it, right? Because you know, I broke more shit than anyone I know.
Right.
And I fucked up more things than anyone I know. But I was like, all right, just don't do that again.
You learn from it though.
Right. You learn from it. Like you know, it's
Mike driving Bobcats and dumping the bucket on him.
Oh, dude. Larry Chig was so pissed. We worked a Saturday one day.
We had this dude that rode a Bobcat that kept his shit immaculate.
He's
the only one that rode it.
He's about 150 years old. Yeah. Shout out to Larry Chig, you Lamborghini Larry. He'll never see this, but dude, So his skid steer.
Too, so,
yeah, absolutely.
His skid steer, like the seat was armor-alled, the windows were cleaned every day before he used it. He got in between the grates, the whole fucking.
He sat in it every day.
That was his.
Yeah.
So one Saturday, me and him are working, and we're raking rocks out of the rows of the solar fields, and we put it in the bucket, and I'll drive the machine over and dump them in the pile. Well, I said I knew how to drive the machine, but that was a fucking lie.
Doing my whole life.
Yeah.
You're one of those. Just like.
So I hop in the fucker, and it's only me and him on the site, and I go over and I lift the thing up, and I thought I went to dump it, but I went this way.
Right.
I dumped all the rocks into the cab.
Oh yeah.
I smashed the fucking glass on the top. All the rocks
Got back
fell
in
in
the day after. What the fuck?
Oh man, I meant to tell you, I hit a dog.
That was Saturday, and after that I was like, all right, we're done for the day. Monday we show up to the job site, and Larry's like, who the fuck was driving my machine? And I'm like, I didn't work Saturday. I don't know what you're talking about. Oh, it was me. Yeah.
I really do miss working solar, dude. I had a good time working solar. I gotta say, it sucked. You know,
it's chaos, man.
It is chaos.
It's a different aspect, dude.
There's always something wrong. You gotta fix that hour.
Right.
I'm gonna interject one little side comment here. I really appreciate the whole like sweat lodge thing you got going on down here. It's like a little like a Native American vision quest. Like it's just like we're just gonna.
Puts hair on your chest.
Some people do ayahuasca. We do podcasts.
Yeah.
In the heat of it.
Like scotch in a sweat room. So it's like
nothing better, dude.
Right.
So the connection that we wanted to bring together is the military side of PTSD and the civilian side of PTSD. The side effects are the same. The experience is different. I want to hear a little bit of your story.
Yeah. I guess like being a civilian, and my experiences are it's.
First off, when did you first start hearing PTSD come around? When you first started talking.
Well, I learned it as shell shock. when
That was the first term for it.
because my great grandfather,
Yeah, shell shock. Yeah.
and being a prisoner of war, and then it was battle fatigue.
Yep.
In
That was Nam, and then got to us and it was PTSD.
yeah, because my great grandfather and my great uncles, my grandfather's brothers. My uncle Don was Iwo Jima and Guadalcanal.
I can't imagine fighting the Japanese there.
He was. I mentioned him on the phone. Like we were talking on the phone before, but he's tougher than a coffin nail, and he passed away years ago. But he can still kick my ass. He was a forward observer.
Ooh, an FO.
Yeah.
And
You gotta be a ballsy motherfucker to be an FO, my friend.
Yeah.
Yes.
Not scared.
Because it's just you.
well, he had a platoon, so he.
No, but
I mean,
as a forward observer, dude, it's literally usually 1 to 2 people that sit on a dangerous place and they talk back to the boys.
I'll tell you why he has bad hearing, or where he had poor hearing, because ever since I've known him, like or my whole life, my whole experience with him, but he was a lieutenant at the time, and he was in Iwo Jima, and he was with his platoon, and the tunnels and snipers and that kind of thing, like there's clipping like the last guy, and it was down to him. His radio man got shot through the back and was paralyzed, legs down.
He told you this?
No. My grandfather did.
Damn.
He kept it. He couldn't talk about it. Yeah, shell shock, so and it was like this like awe about him and his brother, my Uncle Bob, like I'll break your ass. That was his catch term. And his wife was like, oh, he's a pip, like this like really sweet little woman, and she's like, he's like, I'll break your ass. I'm like, okay. It's like he wore the pants, but she still told him which pair.
Right.
All 100 pounds of her. But my Uncle Don, circle back to Iwo, his radio man got shot through the back and his paralyzed legs down, and they, for like a week and a half, they stayed in a blast crater from like the artillery from the ships.
Yeah.
And he called in artillery rounds from where he was.
Shit.
And then they got pulled out, and
Did you hear like these
and he was shot. He got 2 Purple Hearts and a Silver Star, because he was also at Guadalcanal, and then Battle of Palau. I'm not gonna. I don't want to disrespect it, for what happened there, but and then he ended up in China for a little bit, and then he came back. When he showed up in California, he got in touch with my grandfather to send him a uniform, because
This is a Marine?
Marine. By the time he got back in California, his what was left of his uniform was just in rags.
Yeah.
So whatever happened. Nobody will ever know.
Yeah.
But he was a lieutenant when he was in Iwo, and he was a lieutenant major.
You really don't hear many stories from Japan. They don't really. Those guys don't really talk much, dude.
Way before our time.
Yeah, but you often hear stories passed on through the ages, certain times and eras. You don't hear much from Japan, dude.
And that's the impressive thing about modern technology, and I wish that I captured these stories with my grandfather and their relative and my relatives, just so it's. I mean, what an amazing.
It's logged in.
What an amazing thing! It's just like, instead of just like it's like this.
That's what we tried saying, like when we first got back from combat. I wish we talked about it right away.
I wish I took more
to log it.
pictures.
Oh my god, dude! But that was frowned upon.
Yeah,
That was if you whipped out a camera back then, dude. It was like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, dude. When I got
Trying to jam us up?
Just like
the unit that I replaced was the snipers that were pissing on bodies that got put on
That's what
blast.
I'm saying, dude.
and that.
You start taking pictures of
So
shit,
the
dude.
cameras
Bad
were
PR.
not very friendly over there.
No.
But I do wish I had more pictures with my boys.
well, because that's that brotherhood,
Right,
And
yeah.
so just like in
But,
whatever.
dude, they just scare you so much. It's just like, dude, I'm not even dealing with that.
Yeah, you almost just like want it to be over so you can move on. And
just keep going.
It's crazy. You're not even thinking about pictures. You're like, dude, I just want to get through this fucking shit. Dude.
right.
Yeah, if you're going through hell, you're not taking a panoramic photo.
That's
No,
what a lot of people
no.
don't understand nowadays. Though.
No, and I don't have a lot of photos of the deployment. I wish I did.
People talk about this shit lightly, dude. They talk about it and they take pictures of certain stuff but you can't take, if you're really going through shit, you don't have time to fucking whip that shit out, dude.
No,
if you think you're
dude.
about to die, bro, you're not fucking taking a selfie, bro.
No.
Well, and also, I mean, that's like, like, you're not gonna like do a fucking TikTok video and then dance like, lobbing grenades and shit. Like, it's, or you're going through a hard time.
It's just not what you're thinking about.
I'm going through, look, like, it's almost like this egocentric, like, narcissism where I'm going through this hard time. I need to get a bunch of likes. I'm going to do a TikTok video and post something like, "Oh my God, this person just died in front of me."
Or you see videos of people crying nowadays, trying to get like sympathy. Like, dude, if you're really going through shit, you're not whipping out a fucking video camera, dude.
It's a pull for attention and energy.
It really is. That's
and
the new generation, though.
So
everything is recorded. They want that wave of sympathy, or
it's a dopamine response. Yeah.
That's scary if you really think about it.
Yeah, it's like a drug. It's like this. It's like whatever ism you have. It's like, now I need this relevance. Like, because I'm gonna base my existence on, am I keeping up with the Kardashians?
Well, not even that.
What
dude.
the fuck do they
about
do?
Just even these in general, dude. Like
it's
a lot of people can't have a real conversation like this.
Mm-hmm.
They have to text it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They lost the art of conversation almost, dude.
I 100% agree. I was talking about that with my neighbor a couple nights ago, because it's just,
that's really scary.
And also through text you lose the sense of tone,
emotion.
No, you got emojis.
well,
for
that's like, it's like, and like you lose a sense of tone or
realism.
Looking someone in the eye and like, like I'm sorry.
Right.
When someone says I'm sorry, it's just like, depending on how you interpret it, it's like it's either sarcasm or being flip and these kinds of things. And so when it comes to a real conversation, and also everyone's a badass through an email or a text message.
Oh, tell me about it.
Until they get popped in the nose for real, and then it's just
about
like
that all the time, bro.
and then that's a big level up. So
Keyboard tough guys are one in a kind.
yeah,
when they're
push button
online,
warfare,
bro.
whatever you want to call it. It's just
I can't stand that shit, dude.
But having a conversation and having an organic conversation, I think that's
not
what I
only
appreciate
that,
about
but from
this.
the generation that we come from. If you say some shit, we're used to being around those motherfuckers. Like, if you say some shit, you got to stand on that. You got to be around that person you're talking about, and you got to be willing to, throw hands if you got to, dude.
Yeah.
Or
That's
a hug.
where I come from.
Or a hug. Because it's like, it doesn't have to be. It's just like, 'cause some of the stuff is so hard that like you can't build that bridge to being compassionate through a text message.
That's true.
It's just like
That's another scary thing too. Being compassionate, for real. Actually showing physical compassion.
Well, and it's this. I mean, they weren't outside when we were shooting the shit, but it's like having this commonality in a parallel path. Like, you've experienced some things. Like we've all experienced things that are hard and challenging, and again, whether it's you're in the service where you're wearing a uniform and that's a defined role,
right?
And that uniform. Actually, I think that uniform and that like that sense of I apologize where if it's if I'm ruining it or like I'm diminishing it. That's fine.
You're fine.
It's like I'm better than you. You just got to keep up. So this you're all wearing a uniform, so you're the same.
Right.
So versus like you're not viewed as an individual. You're all Marines.
Right.
Right. So Marines, like, and you're addressed as Marines.
Yeah.
So it's not Nick.
Right. Yeah.
It's like it's Marine. It's and that because that clips you into a space where I'm wearing uniform. I'm a Marine.
But still,
and that Marine has a role, and my role is this.
Mm-hmm.
Bup. That's right. Like they don't do that in the civilian world. It's Justin.
Everything.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
So that's a way to survive that environment and and click into gear. This is my job. I'm a Marine. This is my position. This is my job. I go do my job because I'm a Marine. Mm-hmm. I'm not Nick.
Right.
It's like we're not ourselves. It's just you are Marine.
Right.
So then the PTSD, I think, becomes this vacuum when you shed that armor and you Another tab just popped open, but it's the about armor and that kind of thing. But like, so you shed that armor and now you're a person.
Yeah.
Right. So now you're a person engaging in now your new real world. Your real world before was a Marine doing this. This is your task. Finish your task.
And that's it.
Go to the next one. Right. So if you read the Iliad by Homer, it recounts the
You're quoting the Iliad right now?
Have you read the Iliad?
Yes.
So
Really?
Yeah.
So you got the Iliad and the Odyssey, right? So the Odyssey is the return home. The Iliad is recounting the Trojan War. So like Achilles and that kind of, like the story. The story of Achilles is in there. So you have Achilles.
Oh, maybe I have read it.
Mourning the loss of Paris, his friend. I believe it's Paris.
I don't think it's Paris.
Hector.
No, you're right.
Is it Paris?
No, you're right.
Okay.
Paris.
So.
Shut up, Nick.
I do know the story.
Fuck. I'm going home.
I gotta see him.
So just like, but he like his friend dies. His best friend dies. Like his battle buddy, whatever you want to call it, is now dead. He retreats back. He retreats back to his tent, and in his tent.
I thought it was his son.
It was his friend.
Okay.
In the Odyssey, Odysseus' son dies by the hands of suitors.
You're right.
So, different book. So, Achilles takes off his armor and mourns the loss of his friend for 2 weeks. He's like, I can't do it. Like, it's too much. It's overwhelming. Mm-hmm. So, that's that vacuum, right? So, he took off his armor, took off his uniform. Now he's in this vacuum. And it's just like, and he's allowed to be...
And that was the first sign of it.
He's allowed to be a human.
Yeah.
Even though he's a demigod, well, semantics, but it's like, but he's a human at that point, right? And then it's like, okay, the war is still going on around me. The world is still like, and so the war is still going on. The world is still spinning. If you go into a civilian component, right? So we got to retreat to our tents, and like and collect. Mm-hmm. And what we choose to do next is going to define us. So you talk about PTSD.
Well, that's kind of what you were saying outside too. True loss not only creates change, but it's almost like when you accept it and you move forward through it. That's your next level.
Right. It's a phenomenal opportunity. It's an amazing opportunity.
Building yourself, if you will.
It's an opportunity to redefine yourself, and how you choose to do that is on us, on the individual. Right. So he puts his armor back on. Absolute fucking savage.
Yeah.
Kills every motherfucker he can find around him, right?
Yeah.
Just decimate.
See, I haven't done that yet. I haven't put my armor back on and accepted who I am now and moved forward through it. Like, I hear what he's saying and I understand it applies to PTSD. And I don't know what it is. It's like I keep fighting the past.
We were chatting a little bit about it's like that's the spin cycle.
Yeah, that's that carousel.
Whatever you want to call it. It's like the spin cycle and the washer. Or like in the dryer, just like dum. You're just going through, and like how do I? What's my breakout point to?
But the thing is, it's on you. It's no one else.
It's on the individual.
You have to choose to learn and become greater, almost accept what you can't change. Yep. And ultimately grow.
Right. So you have. I mean, if your perspective is opportunity, right? So you get knocked down, that's an opportunity.
Still, I feel like I'm immature-minded because I can't let go of certain things. When I fail at something or if I don't hit my mark, it's hard for me to let it go or forget about it.
Well, that's a sign of perfection. Like you're wanting to be...
Like I'm still tripping about certain things that I fucked up in combat.
Because you're trying to prove to yourself something that you had no control over. Right, so we were talking about this a little bit, not to get people to troll back previous stuff, but it's like it's talking about. We were talking a little bit when I was on the phone, like my need to prove myself, prove my merit, like prove my worth and prove my value and that kind of thing, so that this is my experience, you know, and people can chime in and tell me to shut the fuck up. I don't care. But it's when you perseverate, like you're going through. Oh man, I fucked that up. Like I could have done this. You're going through these scenarios. Like people go through those. Like people go through those scenarios. You know, like just at work.
Yeah,
you know, on day-to-day life, like I deal with my kids, like that wasn't a shining moment, you know, just like I could have done better, like you know, it's just
part of life.
Yeah, it's but looking at that, what am I going to learn? You know, but and I'm not forcing this on you, but like from what I see, because I'm the same way, is like the want to do it right from the rip.
Yeah,
you know, you don't have the opportunity to like run these scenarios in your head, and I'm going to do this, and this, and like in the sequence, and it's going to play out perfectly. And
are you religious?
I have a very deep spiritual
connection. I can only fucking imagine.
I survived Catholicism.
Something you said though, and I fucking hate getting wicked deep on just randomly on you guys, but there was a point that, and I hate to pull a story out of the pocket on you.
That's right.
But you told me you observed yourself from an outside perspective.
Yes.
The way that you say that, I feel like I've been in that. Now, something that scares me is I've been in a situation like that. I almost viewed myself from a third-party perspective, like I was outside of my body. I've never spoken on that because I thought everyone would just.
Oh, you want to talk about the other side of the tunnel? All right.
I always thought people would just laugh at me like, "Yeah, you're just bullshitting." But I've been in situations like that.
Yeah, this is why like I'm so comfortable saying weird shit to people or like having these conversations, because this is a space where like I'm familiar with and it's comforting for me because it's
No, I'll tell you what it is, bro. You're seeing two motherfuckers that have been through some fucked up shit, and you're like, oh, I'm not the only one that's fucking a little goofy.
No, I mean I surround myself.
I've been in situations like you.
I surround myself with goofy. So June 13th, 1996, I was out training with my teammates. I used to race bicycles, like road bicycles, like Tour de France, road
Neil Armstrong shit.
Lance.
Yeah,
Neil Armstrong's the
Neil Armstrong landed on the fucking moon.
No. Who's the one that
depends on who you
Lance
believe.
Armstrong.
Depends on
Lance, Neil, dude. Come on.
Yeah. Dude, those are two names you don't hear anymore.
It's true. Ever since you heard he was doing tests, everyone was like, oh.
Yeah. Lance fucking loser.
They all do it.
It's true.
But,
anyways, come on.
So, I race clean. But it was, so I got hit by a truck head on. It was a combined impact.
Stop breezing through that, please. What were you doing when you got hit by the truck head on, dude?
I was
you were riding a bicycle.
Yeah.
Were you taking a turn? Were you fucking going through a four-way?
There was like a slight downhill. I was in we're in my
Where was the traffic guy saying truck go that way, Justin's coming this way?
Well, target fixation. I'll talk about it. So I was closest to the yellow line. We're coming down this hill.
You were actually in a race?
No, we're training. Our training together. Okay. It was on a club ride.
Okay.
And I looked down and like I was closest to the yellow line because there was like 3 or 4 guys. You know, because it swells up going downhill. We're about to hit a stop sign.
Yeah.
And I popped my rear tire flatted out, and I was like, oh shit. Like, so it's easier. Like, there's nobody coming. And so instead of like riding downhill with a flat tire and trying to like work my way through my buddies, like, because you know, like there's like 3 or 4 people to the breakdown lane. There's nobody coming this way. Mm-hmm. So I just went over the other side of the road. So I was slowing down, and I was like a foot away from the edge of the road inside the breakdown lane, and this driver was coming up the hill. She was coming up the hill. It was like a small, like a slight curve, and she was coming up the hill, and she wrote it in the police report. Like, I saw him to the right of me, so I moved as far right as possible.
And followed you, pretty much.
She was like, it's like you're like.
So you aimed for? Is she aimed for you?
Well, like I was saying, it's just like target fixation. It's like you're driving down the road, like, I better hit that fucking pothole, and you're staring at the pothole. You hit the pothole. You know, it's just like I was the pothole. So it's like, so I crushed the front end of her truck in, and I got thrown back up the hill about 30 feet, and
it shot you forward.
Backwards.
Like
you're like
force that takes. You were coming down at it, and it shot you backwards.
Yeah, so it's
So
like
the combined was 65 miles an hour of
yeah,
impact.
yeah. So I saw pictures of it like a couple years later because she sued me.
She sued you?
Let me finish the fucking story. See, and it looked like she drove into a telephone pole or a tree because like the from the hood ornament over was like crushed in. Like I pushed like the radiator into the engine block and like the windshield was crushed in and like it was a foot and a half into the roof line, and I got thrown back.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it sucked. So because I was like looking to the right, I was at my teammates. So it was like I was in the breakdown, and I was looking over at them. I just boom, right. So this was a clean break, and like all that force, probably like a bullet. Like like it's nice and clean here. And
Did shock put you out, or were you cognizant?
yeah, no, I was knocked out for like 40 seconds because this shattered my face. Like all that force like shot through this way. It's like this is all titanium, and then it tore a hole in my neck the size of a coffee can, and they cut out some of my muscle tissue. I punctured my lung. My second and third rib broke, and I punctured my left lung. I broke L4 and L5 and blew my knee open. This was like a set of railroad tracks when I woke up, like in the hospital.
Where were you?
I was in Hamden, Mass when that happened, and I got shipped to Springfield, and they were calling me dead on arrival, like in the ambulance, like he's not going to make it. And I was announced on the radio, I was like, this one's like he circled the drain. I lost 55% of my blood through my neck and head.
So you were pouring out?
Yeah, I was sieving out pretty good, and
Because they can't put a tourniquet on that.
yeah,
They put it around your fucking neck.
That's what I mean.
no, and I'll like. I'm gonna put this on the podcast, and I send her flowers every year since 2000, since 1996. Lisa Rosignol saved my life.
Tell us more.
She was in the car. She was in the vehicle with her two daughters. They were little, and now they're like these amazing, beautiful young women on their own lives and journeys and stuff like that. But Lisa had diapers in her car. And so I was knocked out for 30 seconds. My teammates thought I was dead. And then I was trying to get up, and my jaw was like fucking swinging, because there was no bone mass, and you run the risk of like choking on your own tongue. Fun fact for everybody: if you shatter your jaw, make sure you try to hold what's left out of there, because you can choke on your own tongue. Because like this is such a strong muscle, it'll suck it back and like crush your esophagus. So so you'll end up like choking to death on your own tongue.
I didn't know that.
Come on, dude.
Where'd you go to school? So thankfully for everything after that point, it's like, you talk about God and the universe and all these kind of things, like there's a purpose, and one, I wasn't done yet, and two, a lot of that, like whatever you want to call it, Lisa was there and she saved my life, because I was trying to get up, I was in shock, sitting out really good.
Cheers to that real quick, man. Saved your life.
Cheers to Lisa.
So I was trying to get up, and it's like that fight or flight response kind of thing. It's like it's like someone knocks you down, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And but the more you move, the more you lose.
Yeah,
so she kneeled down on the ground. This is what I was told. She kneeled down on the ground on the tarmac, and she got covered in my blood. And she comforted me, and she held diapers on my neck. My stabilized blood pressure in the ambulance was 63/X.
I don't know what that means.
You have like
He was pumping out. His heart was pumping out blood.
So like you have 120/80, right? So that number, that's like the normal. So 120 is like when your heart contracts, and that's like the force of the force of the blood flow going through, and then the number when the heart relaxes, that 80 is like
your resting heart rate.
No, your resting heart. It's that resting when your heart relaxes. It's still a closed circuit. So that's just like it's like boom, and then the heart relaxes, and it's like, all right, I'm going to keep coasting, and then boom. So it's like just like you kind of like just get these little bumps. Like I didn't have that residual blood pressure. So it's like my blood, instead of my blood cells going bump. That's when you see on a EKG.
Yeah.
It's just bump.
So you're bleeding the fuck out.
Sieving.
Yeah.
So they were saying I was dead on arrival. Thankfully, I proved them wrong, and and so I was it was an ER and that kind of thing, and it took like 38 hours to put my face back together, and the doctors like were running their fingers along my carotid artery, pulling off glass and shit, and like they cut out some of my sternocleidomastoid, which is this muscle, you know, that turns your head.
Yeah.
You know, so I can tilt my head and hit this shoulder, but I can't. It's like it's because it's shortened.
Right.
Yeah. It's like fuck it. Like it just,
Yeah.
it's like there's nothing good over there anyways.
Right.
So.
If you've ever been through a serious injury, I mean, that's not something that we think about enough. I mean, I can't shout out to you enough. I can't imagine having half of my neck hanging out of my body and being cognizant and being able to tell just a civil story about that.
Yeah.
Like, shout out to y'all.
Well,
and that wasn't the first time you were hit by a car.
No, I hit twice before by cars, and that wasn't so bad. That was like, you know, Humpty Dumpty.
Right.
You know, but like this was
I was hit by a car twice, no big deal.
But that was a good one. That one, you know. But you know, I told
For some reason, guys like that, hit by cars, hit by lightning, they hit often.
Yeah, magnetic personality.
You hear about it, it happens like often, like for some reason. I don't know what it is.
Which happened with a lottery ticket, but
yeah, it couldn't be that.
I'm not that guy.
I feel like that's set up too. I'm a conspiracy motherfucker, dude.
For the lottery?
I feel like all lottery tickets are preset.
Do you buy lottery tickets?
No.
I don't either.
No.
Best way to double your money is you fold it in half and put it in your other pocket.
True.
I used to live in Las Vegas, and I was just like, oh, these fuckers are calling.
What's your game?
Nothing.
You don't do any of it?
No, because it's like you go to get gas and like there's all these like fucking lot lizards like just like plugged in with their umbilical cords and a card on a slot machine in a gas
slots
station.
are the only way you make money.
Right.
Huh?
I feel like slots are the only way you make money. All the other games of chance are like you have to
don't
be.
gamble at all.
Or
Yeah.
you go to work and you fold your money in half and put it in your other pocket.
Right.
So you don't know, like you're not conditioned to reach for it there.
Yeah.
You know, but you were talking about like the out of body experience kind of stuff, and like you're talking about spirituality and God, and or you know, whether it's, you know, I view now that I kind of getting older, it's not really like a structured like institutional kind of religion thing, but it's just like the belief in something greater than ourselves, you know.
That there has to be something.
Well, that you've seen it.
Do you think that you
want
were?
to talk about it, or we?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I mean, this is not really like the idea of the podcast. You know, we could talk about my friends that I hired on.
No, fuck it.
All right. So I have a thing for watches, like, and I wear an analog watch. I don't wear digital watches and stuff like that because and I'll tell you why. So this experience, like I was in the hospital, I was in ICU for 6 days, and I was on a ventilator. They vented me.
What's a ventilator?
A breathing machine. I wasn't breathing on my own. They induced me into a coma because of all the trauma and shock.
This was after the incident you just told us about?
Yeah, same stream.
Okay.
So I was intubated through my nose into my lungs to breathe, intubated up my nose into my stomach to eat.
Fucked up situation.
I had a punctured lung, so I had this chest tube in here. It felt really weird. It felt like there's a fucking snake on your lung.
Oh my God.
Inside your body. It was like really creepy. And I had, you know, I had a couple IVs in each arm, and you know, then a piss pipe, and like these bags on your feet to like that would compress to like
For circulation.
Yeah, to keep you from getting an embolus or a clot. And
Isn't that atrophy?
muscle atrophy is one thing, but like if you have a blood clot just from blood pooling, that blood clot can break loose and like, you know, cause
The human body.
the human body is an absolutely amazing thing. Like it's incredible how resilient
We were built. I'm telling you, we were built. There's no way that is just.
we are. So phenomenally resilient. Like you can get hit by a truck, you can get shot, you can get blown the fuck up. You know, you can fall from a building. You know, you can break all these bones.
Right.
And at any given time, we are one cell wall away from like having a stroke and bleeding out.
That's what I'm saying, dude.
So it's so, we are so phenomenally powerful and delicate at the same time. And so that's where finding that balance, not only in our daily life, but like having like this deep gratitude for.
Still, do you think we're products of advanced evolution? Like, do you think?
Do you watch a lot of Ancient Aliens?
Oh, all the time.
Oh, yeah, I figured.
Yeah.
I'm not profiling or anything, but it's just like.
Yeah.
But think about it. Really think about it. Do you think that we came from gorillas, or do you think that we were put here?
Okay, so Adam and Eve. Maybe.
That's what I'm talking about.
Maybe Adam was a monkey and Eve was an alien, or vice versa.
You're gonna what if it to death.
Yeah, so you can what if, like, what if I got hit by a submarine driving eastbound on the Mass Pike? And the submarine's going northbound.
What if I get hit by 3 cars?
Right.
Just the way that he described the human
four.
body,
Four.
the way he described the
Not to
human
one-up you,
body,
but-
how it's meant to work under any situation, under anything that's thrown at you. If you got hit by a car, he's got a fucking tube coming out of his fucking lungs, dude.
Yeah.
He's got pressure going in and out of his feet just to pump the blood out of his feet, like. But yet the human body can ultimately adapt to that and overcome. I mean,
We can endure it. Like, and then we have a conditioned response, like, which is like part of PTSD or stress, to wall it off, to protect ourselves from that experience.
that's more importantly to ask you, where did you go in your head in that moment? You can't just be cognizant, being like, oh, all right, I'll have chicken today.
Well, I wasn't eating. My jaw was wired shut, so.
So you're sucking down protein.
No, I wasn't doing anything. I was, when I got hit, I was 195 pounds. On June 13th, I was 195 pounds. 10 days later, I was 160.
Holy fuck, dude.
Yeah. Like, everything was working overtime to fix itself. Like, it was a pretty crazy experience. But, so, after our phone call, Nick and I chatted, just privately on the phone. I want to thank him and a bunch of other stuff. And shoot the shit, but this is my nature. But my experience, so you talked about God and higher power and stuff like that. So my experience was, when I was under, I had a notepad on my stomach, and I couldn't see it, but I was like writing notes and shit.
This is you're in your dream.
No, I have the notes at home.
Oh, okay. Keep going.
Like, I have the notebook.
I'd love to read that.
My sister Mary gave it to me. It's got like this monkey holding a banana, and like it's just like
tripping.
It's like, it's just like I couldn't even see it. I was just like writing, like laying down writing, almost like Johnny Get Your Gun. That story. So, but I was writing that, and like talking to my like dead relatives, and I was like, I'll see you soon, that kind of thing. I'm okay.
Who was around you at this time?
Spiritually or physically?
Physically.
My family,
Being
my mother and my father, my siblings, tons of friends, my coach, my teammates.
oh, so you were only 19?
21. I was 21. It was 6 weeks after my 21st birthday. I bet my best friend Keith, like he passed away in 2004 of cancer, but he would like.
Do you have anything normal that's happened to you? Like on a steady, just consistent basis? I feel like
I strive for mediocrity.
I see.
I do. It's like,
Don't we all?
yeah, it's not mediocrity.
Normalcy?
We'll define normal. Like, we're all conditioned to.
what is his normal?
Right. So like
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not anybody special. Like, the whole point of this is just
You
like,
are, though. Stop saying
this shit.
that.
No, but this shit happens to people, and they don't talk about it. Like,
That's true.
so
That's
it's
true.
like you're talking about PTSD. We're talking about outside.
I hope that's what you're expressing right now. Like, put that out there. You need to put that out there. Not anyone talks about this. I've never heard some of the shit that you're saying right now. Like, and it's obviously because it ultimately scares the fuck out of somebody.
Well, it's also isolating, because like
It's very isolating.
like,
Bro, you go through something like that, who the fuck can you relate to?
Honestly, I hope nobody,
Yeah,
because it
that's
was
true.
horrible. It was horrible and very powerful at the same time. So, watches. We'll get back to the watches thing. We'll finish that. We'll close out that tab because you wanted
Well, you
to
got
talk
like
about.
16 open right now, so we gotta close them.
You wish I had 16. So I wake up in ICU. I was in ICU for 6 days, and I wake up and everything fucking hurt. like my hair follicles hurt. You know, it's just like everything hurt. I was wrecked.
Aching.
It just like, and you get this little button, you know, for morphine and
For
shit like
happy
that.
juice?
Yeah, it doesn't do shit because it's overwhelming. Like and this is where it's really funny when people say like, "Oh my god, I feel like I got hit by a truck." I'm like, "Oh yeah."
Let's talk about you though being a powerful person initially, and then having to ultimately be the weak person everyone's looking at in the middle of everyone's. Are you okay?
Well, it's
That's almost the hardest part.
It's not even it's weak in like a fragile way. You know, it's not you're not. I mean, physically you're weak and that kind of thing, but it's like you're also very fragile because like how do I put this?
I'm saying you're used to being strong though.
Right. So you're carrying. That was my uniform. That was my persona. That was my image. That kind of thing. That's how people perceived me. You know, and versus, you know, how we perceive ourselves. Like.
Right. There's a hard separation there.
Right. It's a fight.
Being vulnerable.
It's a fight in ourselves. Yeah. Like, is it okay to be vulnerable?
Right.
You know, so if you really want to be a badass, tell people how you're feeling.
Yeah, it's true.
Right.
That's
so so like everyone can like shut off and disassociate, you know, disconnect and do a job. Right. It's, you know, if anyone ever had to kill a chicken, you're like, well, this sucks, but like, fuck,
yeah,
you just you flip the switch, you snap a neck.
Yeah.
Right. Versus like, this, like, have you ever done that? And before you do it, you say you're sorry.
I haven't.
I have. And I'm like, sorry, man. It's going this way.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't lay eggs, and I don't like. So
it's funny you say that, dude, because I've never had to kill a chicken, but I went deer hunting last year for the first time. Mm-hmm. I went with a buddy of mine. He took me to upstate New York, and we went deer hunting.
Okay.
And I shot my first deer.
Drink blood?
You're supposed to bite into the organ and drink the blood of it.
Oh, we ate the heart.
Yeah.
Right.
Something like that.
Well, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Was it cooked?
Yeah.
Okay. That's not the same.
I
Okay.
knew he was going to say that. You're fucked up, son.
But yeah,
rules are rules, guys.
Well, it was my first deer. I didn't
write them.
Yeah.
Did you ever see Red Dawn?
Yeah.
Just like,
The thing is, I've
wasn't
known,
so
like,
bad.
he reminds me of, like, a salty staff sergeant that got in trouble when he was a sergeant and wasn't supposed to make staff sergeant, but they gave it to him anyways, and he just has these old ways that were burnt into him by, like, old-timers from Iraq.
Yeah.
I've been.
You haven't killed someone till you fucking cut his ear off and wore it around your neck for a year or two.
I've been described as quote unquote old school quite a few times.
You definitely come off that way.
And unfortunately, there's not a place for that. So,
not anymore.
Not anymore. It's like
it's missed.
It's
It really has.
It becomes the vacuum.
That's why, dude, I'm sad that
let the pendulum swing all that way. I'll be right here.
Dude, so we have this
Right.
guy we were supposed to interview. His name is Chambers, and he taught us just the proper way of being a Marine. Like he told us, like, listen, you're gonna go out there and kill. Like, there's no way that someone gets in the Marine Corps at this time and doesn't go out and get some. Listen, get ready for it.
Yeah.
No, but listen to me. He puts you in that mindset of like, listen, you're gonna go out and pull the trigger. There's a certain type of mindset you have to be in for that.
Right, and that's what we were talking about earlier, where you're in a uniform, you're not defined as Nick anymore. This is your mindset. You're a Marine.
Yeah, but
you wanted to talk about PTSD, right?
I'm telling you, this guy didn't even thought of PTSD as that bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Don't tell me about no PTSD. Shut the fuck up and stand up and fucking.
Right, but that keeps you in that space.
I hear you. I'm just trying to describe this type of person.
No, and I hear you, and I understand why he's doing that. You know,
but anyways,
because Achilles still has his armor on. He's slaying motherfuckers, right?
Absolutely.
So, and you have to be invincible.
Yeah.
That's probably why he doesn't want to do an interview.
And I don't blame him, man.
I don't either.
I don't.
How can you talk about that and have people relate to you?
I don't hold anything against him for
either.
it. You know, some people are willing to air it out, and others aren't.
I just know
And
if
that's-
someone else saw that, they'd be like, "That's why they're the way they are."
Yeah.
Well, and then hopefully that, you know, the point of all that, like, from my understanding, the point of all this is to provide some understanding and some compassion to, like, looking at somebody and saying, why is this person the way they are? And then understanding more about their story instead of, like, that guy's an asshole.
Right.
You know, and why is he so salty? Because you haven't looked through his eyes.
Right.
You know, you haven't seen what he's seen.
So you get hit by the car.
You want me to finish the watch story?
I do.
Okay, cool.
I do.
So I woke up, everything hurt, and then I went through this checklist in my head. Like I was just like, "Fuck, I'm not gonna make it." You know, I felt like I was going.
You're in the hospital at this point?
Yeah. When you're on a respirator, and I couldn't talk because I had 2 tubes going up my nose.
Oh my god, I'd be
so I
bugging
couldn't
the fuck
communicate except for writing, and I can't see what I'm writing because I'm like, "Fuck," you know. And then it's just
out. All bad.
not great. It's just not great. Well, it can always be worse. Not great.
No,
So
it was not good.
So the when you're on a respirator, it's like you're playing this mind game, and it's this like, fuck, do I call them in? Do I call the nurses in?
Is it this bad?
Right, because you feel yourself drowning.
Fuck. Dude.
Because your body is producing all this shit in your lungs to kick the tube out that's in your lungs because it's a foreign body. It's like you produce phlegm and mucus to cough and like hack shit out to lubricate that and get that shit out of you.
So you're drowning on that ultimately.
Yeah, you can actually. I actually felt it like fuck.
That is some trippy shit.
So I'm like, I'm about here. Like I gotta call a button and then I could do this kind of thing. And so they come in. I told you about my most painful experience. My most painful.
That's what I was talking about earlier, but you don't want to talk about it.
No, but my most painful physical experience is waking up in the middle of the fucking night, where you just wake up and a nurse is jamming a vacuum line up your respirator tube into your lungs, sucking out your lungs.
Holy shit.
And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just like shit. It's like because you need it.
Right.
You need it. But you're just laying there, you're like, you know, just like,
I don't think I've ever heard this from somebody.
Oh, God,
I don't think I've ever heard someone talk about this.
That sucked. That just, it
You have to accept reality and
It's
just
like-
somehow calm your brain down. Because if you don't, you're dead.
and you gotta calm your body, because your body
If your
is,
brain does not calm down, your body ultimately can't be controlled.
you gotta relax your body into it and be like, okay, this is happening.
Oh my god.
Probably like some skinny kid in prison for the first time, you know. But it's just, you know, but you need this to survive, and so it's like you need to, like, if I tense up, it's gonna make it worse, and it just causes like this this shock kind of
So your
thing.
mind's there.
Oh yeah,
The mind's fully functioning.
oh yeah, man. It's like, and I know it sucks.
Yeah.
No pun intended, but it's like
The mind doesn't go anywhere.
It's
No,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like, you know, his body being incapacitated as to where it was, your brain never shut off.
That's scary as
no,
fuck, dude.
I don't think it ever will.
No, yeah.
But that was the most, like, physically, that is like the most like intense like thing, because it's just like you have no.
And those memories stay with you, though.
Oh yeah, a lot of them do. And then there was, so everything hurt, and then I started going through this checklist. I'm like, well, I'm young, didn't live a full life. I didn't really do the things I thought I was going to do, but I never intentionally went out and hurt anybody. You know, I wasn't like that much of an asshole. Kind of went through like, you know, the pros.
Oh, you're thinking about if you're gonna die.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna cash out. So, and once I came, like, I went through like this list, and like, well, the pros outweigh the bad, and like not like short run, but overall pretty good. A lot of good memories and that kind of thing, and I have a lot of beautiful friends, and
Damn, he was going through the checklist.
so
Yeah, you're wrapping it up at that point.
Think about that, dude. Do you ever think if you're just stuck in a hospital bed, dude, do you want to stay there?
No, I've had those thoughts being pinned down in a firefight. Like, we're not gonna make it out of here.
Same shit. You have to accept death sometimes, and that was him.
I think yours is more immediate, because like you're
No, but still, you have to accept your body failing you.
right. So if you die before you die, then you never die.
Okay, now
So-
I see what you're saying.
So it's someone's blowing up. So going through that checklist, as soon as I became like, okay, I'm okay with going. Like, I sunk into my bed. It felt like the mattress was like up here. You know, it's like getting laid by a fat chick in like a memory foam mattress.
Yeah.
Where I just like, she's just railing on, like she's just grinding on, like you just kind of like you're getting pounded down. So it's like all of a
Shout
sudden,
out to all the fat chicks.
yeah. It's good cushion.
I love them. I'm not lying.
But anyways, that's rude and inappropriate. But that's what it felt like. I just sunk into my bed. And once I was okay to go, I saw myself above myself.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about.
But I was looking at those two things from a third person objective, right?
I've heard stories about that multiple times.
So this is my physical self, my physical, right here. This is me sinking into the bed. All right, I'm ready to go. This is my spirit.
I wonder what that is.
This is my spirit, right? This is like my life force,
Your
whatever.
being.
Yeah, my spirit, and then my soul is looking down at those two things.
You realize what you're talking about right now?
Yes, I do.
All right, that's good.
So then I was like, all right, I played a game with myself. Either my physical self or my spiritual self, there was a shaft of light coming from the nurse's station in the hallway through the door, and it was like shining a light on the clock at the foot of my bed, on the other side of the bed, and I was like, I'm gonna see if I can make it 6 more seconds.
Oh, so you were dying.
So
in some form.
Spiritually, physically, whatever. Like I was ready to go. Like I was like, all right, this happened. Not great. I've already like communicated with people who are already dead.
Right.
Because I felt them around me and that kind of thing, and that was comforting. So whether it's in my head or if it happened for real, it's that was my experience, right? So then, so I looked at the clock and I'm like, see if I can make it 6 more seconds. Yeah, and that's like that was a mind fuck for me because I got an OCD mind. So at 6 seconds, how many times is that going to land on an actual number? Because you look at a watch.
Yeah.
Right. So this is why I wear analog watches, because they have a second-hand sweep.
Right.
So it's like I'm going to see if I can make it 6 more seconds. So if you're like, all right, I'm going to start it at 1 o'clock or noon. 6 seconds doesn't land at 5, or it doesn't land at 5 seconds or 1 o'clock.
Right.
It lands at 6 fucking seconds.
Right. Yeah.
So then you're like, but you want it to land on a number, because then if it lands on a number, then it's right.
That's some trippy shit.
But every time
That's where your head's at though at that point.
But it's just like every 6 seconds, like I was getting stronger and stronger, and then I kept doing that for hours. I was doing it for
a long
fucking
time,
hours.
bro.
It was like a huge, like it was like imagine running a marathon in your mind 6 seconds at a time. So I did that for hours, and every 6 seconds I got stronger and stronger, and that pulled those 3 versions of myself back into my body. And then the next day, I think it was the next day or the day after, they pulled the chest tube, and then they pulled the G tube, which was my feeding tube, and then they pulled the respirator. They pulled my vent. And it's like,
So now you're back to breathing on your own.
breathing my own air.
Right.
On my own power.
Right. Not being pumped.
Because for 6 days, I didn't breathe my own air on my own power.
It means his lungs were like underdeveloped to a certain point because they hadn't been pumping.
Yeah.
Right. And so when they pulled that out, and we were like, they're like, oh, say something. They're worried about something. And they went like that, because like my jaw was wired shut. So like all this fucking snot and shit from my lungs came out. And my first words back into this world, being reborn,
Fuck you.
No, get this shit off me. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
It's just like this green sludge and shit. So, but I was okay to go. And so ever since that point, like I looked at it as one of the best things that ever happened to me, because at that point, it was like, all right, if I can survive this, I can do that.
Right.
So I no longer look at things as a crutch, so I guess for like circling into like, stress and these kinds of like endeavors, it's just like, if I can survive this, I could shift my mindset instead of, and hopefully getting out of the spin cycle a little bit. It's like, if I can survive this, I can do this, and I can move forward.
Yeah.
Because if you're going through shit, like, you're not setting up a tent.
No.
You don't want to set up
Trying to
a,
get through it.
and I'm talking about like shit in your mind. Like,
Yeah, I know.
you know,
yeah,
so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like, it's
Makes
this,
sense. I've never thought of it that way, but you're exactly
like,
right.
like, why set up camp?
Yeah, why
You know?
camp out on a bad thought?
Right. So
It's easy to say though before you go through it.
100%. Like, no, and I have like, and this is why, like, I take my armor off and like I talk about this stuff so freely because hopefully it connects with somebody. And it's just
Yeah.
like if you're going through something,
That's what we're trying to do.
right? And so that was the most painful physical experience, and there's a lot of, you know, if you want to talk about it, we could talk about it. Like there's a lot of stigma around, you know, like losing a kid and not
course.
talking about it, and you close that off. I don't know how long you want to talk about.
We're at an hour and a half right now, so.
I'm in no rush.
All right.
All right, so tell us some fucked up shit, dude.
So after you get out of the hospital
Yep.
for the bicycle crash,
Yep.
what?
First off, let's shout out this bottle real quick. So Justin, as a gentleman, brought us a Green Label blended malt Scotch whiskey, dude.
Johnny Walker.
15 years, bro. What is this?
Bad ideas like company, so it's like that's what it is.
You know, the only guy I know who drinks Johnny Walker is my boy Doug.
Dougie.
You remember Dougie?
Of course.
How can you not?
Dougie moved down to Florida.
Like I don't want to be brand specific, but like of the Walkers, like the green is my favorite.
well, there's
sad
different
that you
levels,
know.
right? It's
Yeah.
like black, green, red, blue.
Yeah, blue is overrated. It's just
You know how
it's
I judge it?
pretentious.
You
Like
know how I
some,
judge a
some
person,
asshole in a
actually?
Tesla like driving around.
Really?
Blue, yeah.
Real quick, can I get in a word in the Justin?
Sure. Yes, you may.
How much
Sure.
trouble? How much trouble have you been in?
Me?
Yeah. Like gauge your trouble meter.
I'm a persona non grata in Ocean City, Maryland.
I hear a lot of fucked up stories from Ocean City, dude. Pat got arrested in Ocean City.
I have no idea what Posada Magrata means.
And he's-
Persona
you're not
non
allowed
grata.
back.
Like I had a police escort. Like don't ever come back.
Yeah.
Oh.
It wasn't my fault.
I thought Posada
Never.
Magrata was
Never.
like a number 8 at Taco Bell.
No.
That's a chalupa.
Don't come back.
It's like, yeah, like we got an escort.
Persona non grata.
We got an escort on the motorcycles. We were riding our motorcycles out of town, and we had a police escort, and they stopped us at the line. It's like, you know, we got pictures of your licenses. Don't ever come back here. Like, not a problem.
Yeah, see you later.
You went down there on bikes?
But yeah,
Who'd you go with?
a couple of friends.
Do you still ride
I do.
motorcycles?
Yeah.
Yeah. Street bikes or off road?
Street. My buddy Nate.
You keep talking about Nate. Tell us about Nate.
Nate is one of the guys that I hired on to work with me. After I met him, he was washing dishes. I mean, he can tell his own story, but he was washing dishes at a bar, and he was going through some stuff. He was in Iraq, and
You guys just clicked, or?
same kind of setup. You know, it's just
Okay, Nate.
yeah, it's like.
You find each other.
Yeah, it's like I guess like a good thing about communicating about it and being open about it. It kind of like helps people gravitate towards that,
Yeah.
and then that commonality and like that ability to communicate and be almost relaxed in like, oh shit, I'm not alone.
Right.
I'm not alone, you know. And it's like
Relax and fucked upness. That's
So
really
this
what
dude
it
was
is.
washing dishes in a bar?
yeah, and he was pretty strong, strong, like stressed out.
How did you just bump into him and talk to him?
Another friend of mine who was a bartender, like I was running my own business in carpentry and stuff like that. And I was like, hey, this guy's looking for hours, and I like yeah, come on, show up.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
He's the one that fucked up my saw. Nate, you fucked up my saw. But then you fucked up your own saw, so it's all
It's
good.
all good.
Yeah, thank you for taking care of it for me.
We'll call it even.
Yeah, so it's but Nate,
Wait, did you just analyze how much you had to drink?
no, I'm
He
moving
was
my.
just like, all right, you take that. And
Well, I'm just saying, who's is whose?
Oh, I have one open.
You know,
That was
like,
you.
you know, this is me. All right, so but my own OCD mind.
Sorry.
So that was mine too.
That one's mine too.
It's like,
go ahead.
Yeah, so you meet this dude Nate.
yeah, and we clicked, right? And we were like, I was Actually, this was after I got hit by the drunk driver, and I was fucked up and I was cane bound.
So you're telling us stories. You got to give us age ranges on these. So the first story was you.
I was 21, right? And so 10 years later, I was driving my truck. That kid was fucked up. I was 10 years later. I was driving my truck, and it was like a movie. It's like I'm like literally said like, oh shit, and I put my foot in the floorboard, and this drunk driver hit me head on doing 85 miles an hour.
That's such an extremely vague story, but
you were in a truck?
I was in my truck this time, thankfully, because I mean I was. That's
good.
Yeah, I really like that truck too, and it's like, so in the town that I was going in, like the road comes down the mountain, goes straight, and then hooks to the left, and there was this pickup truck going through the curve, and I heard this and this car coming out. It was like behind all these buildings. It was shielded by like the houses and buildings and stuff, and it hit the truck going through the turn. And I remember like it was like a movie, and I saw the sheer force of the truck of that impact shot the guy's rear axle off the truck sideways, and like it was like a giant barbell with like these fucking tires and shit like woo, 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 going through the air and like landing in the neighbor's yard. And I was like.
How does one person have consecutive stories of just hard to believe? Like, it's not that I don't believe this happened. I feel like it actually really did happen.
You can Google it.
No, that's what I mean. Like, why do you have all this shit happening to you? You got to be some kind of a magnetic.
Well,
person.
The devil wants you dead because heard a compliment, right? So, it's
Amen. Hey, fucking man.
So like he deflected off that truck, and like as soon as he hit that truck, I started turning my wheel to the right a little bit. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna jump out and help that guy. That guy's gonna get fucked up.
Yeah.
And so I was pulling over, and then literally I was like all of a sudden I had like headlights in my face. And I'm like, oh shit, and I put my foot in the floorboard, and he hit my truck. My truck spun. I got like my teeth knocked out. These are all bolted in. Knocked my teeth out again because they got knocked out when I was hit by the truck on my bicycle.
I would assume so. Yeah.
That's how I ate. Like through that little.
You must have a hell of a dental plan.
That was fucking expensive. But anyways, like so, my truck spun and I totaled I get hit in the face with the airbag, and it's not like a movie where it's like a little pillow. It's like it's a fucking explosion. Yeah. Like, and see the scar right here is it's really old, but. This was a chemical burn, and I ripped this open from the shifter knob on my truck because I was shifting my truck into park, and then I got hit, and so my hand went like that. Yeah. And like the chemical, like it was like this is all chemical burns on this from the like nitroglycerin. That's like a little cartridge in the airbag.
Explosion of the airbag.
Not a good time. Yeah. So my truck's like, and it deflates right away. So it's like then it's down, and my truck is spinning, and then I hit the car like a baseball behind me. And then, so it's like, boom, boom, boom. So it's like, boom, head on, and then I hit the passenger side, so I hit like, boom, like that, and then I hit the car, my passenger side this way, and then he T-boned me, the motherfucker.
Was it just you in the car?
It was just me in the truck, and my tools. And it's like a fucking snow globe when you're a carpenter. It's like you never realize how much shit you got in your truck and your cab.
Until it's all over the
fucking road. So it's like someone like does this, it's like like chisels and shit. So true, it's like
saw blade.
It's like I'm a slob, It's just like I have to really like organize shit. But and then like his running motor ended up like right here on my driver's side door.
Damn.
And so I climb out of the passenger seat.
You were able to climb?
I wanted to get the fuck out because his running motor was like right here.
I hear you, but still, you were cognizant enough to.
And I had 2 tanks of fuel that I just topped off, like right behind me. So I'm like,
act like we wouldn't be able to get out of it.
No, I hear you, but that's just an intense fucking moment to be able to just do that, dude.
Well, okay, so this is my combat, right? So this is my like heightened awareness. This is my fight or flight. I have to get out.
Right.
I'm crawling out, and like. My friend David, who lives 2 houses down, because I was trying to go to his house, but I missed his driveway. I was like, oh, fuck it, I'll turn around in the church and then go back. Thankfully, I didn't miss his house, because if I made his driveway, the car behind me, that kid would have been dead, because he was a little car. I was in a 3/4 ton truck.
Your tailpipe.
Yeah, I was in a 3/4 ton truck, so I took the hit.
Right.
So the other guy can, So I climb out. I'm kind of like, I rang my bell pretty good because I hit it on the column on the truck. And I knocked on the kid's window, like the car behind me, and like the kid that I hit with my passenger side of my truck. And like I'm like, are you all right? And he's like shocked and like looking at me. I'm all fucked up and no teeth and bleeding and stuff. And I'm like, you know, it's like I'm like mumbles and shit. So it's like are you all right? And he shook his head. I'm like, okay, cool. And so I go around the front of my truck and I'm looking for the driver. The door was open.
So he stumbled out.
The door was open. I didn't see anybody in there, so I didn't know if he was like slumped over, hurt, or dead. So I look in there, and there's nobody there. And I turn around, and I see this kid like swaying in the breeze, and I'm like, "Is this your truck?" He's like, he's on his phone. He's like, "What?" And I'm like, at that point, I'm like, you can tell he's cocked. I'm like, "Is this your fucking truck?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, so I'm like, so then I flip a switch. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? And like, and then he's on the phone, and he's like, yeah, some guy just hit my truck. And so then I'm like, I go into like rage mode. I'm like, you motherfucker. And it's like, so I start making a beeline for him, and like, the biggest, baldest fucking like off-duty cop I've ever seen in my life. The guy was like a giant. It was like the Green Giant like was just out at a club, you know. Yeah. Just like and like this big old fucking hands like, hey man, he's drunk. Don't let him come back to you with anything. And so like, and I'm like. And it kind of snapped me back into like being a reasonable human being, and
instead of react, respond.
It's like yeah, so it's like that kind of thing. I'm just like my reaction, my fight or flight is like I'm gonna stomp him.
This kid out,
yeah, like what he did to me, what my dad taught me growing up as a kid is like if somebody hits you, hit him back twice as hard so they never do it again.
Right.
So bad day for him. Right. You know, so like you're right. And so I kind of like, I'm like, tons of adrenaline, ready to fight, like not willing to sit down, like ready to go. And then the kid is like on his phone, and then he hangs up. He's like looking around. He's like, oh, my arm, and he lays down, like pretending to have an injury, you know, because everyone's a fucking victim, you know. And so,
I finally got enough knowledge to do that.
It got better. So I went up to him, and I'm like, you hurt? Good. I spit in his face and I kicked him in the ribs like 4 times with my steel toe boots, you know. Yeah. And then I looked at the EMTs like, where are you taking this guy? You know, and it's like, oh, we're taking him here. Like, well, take me somewhere else because I'm gonna kill this motherfucker. Yeah, seriously. So, my phone was dying, like you know, typical story. Like everyone's phone's fucking never on charge, kind of thing. And this is like my flip phone.
Yeah.
You know?
I remember.
So my flip phone was dying, and so I got brought to a hospital, and like I'm even in trauma. Like I mean, everyone is kind of like they have their response. Like you have people who like run from a fire or panic, and you have people that run into it.
Right.
So
yeah.
like I am, whatever my nature is, like I'll like I laser focus. I want to run into that fire.
Right.
Yeah, I'm gonna solve this problem, and I'll deal with my physical as shit later. You know, so I'm sure you gentlemen can empathize with that at some degree. But like, I'll run into a fire, and then I'll deal with my shit later on. Yeah. Personally. Yeah. Right, because I'm.
That's how we operate.
I'm elevated. Like I have tons of cortisol and adrenaline pumping through me. I'm ready to fight. Mm-hmm. And then I'll go be hurt later. You know? So I got a job to do. I'll be hurt later. Yeah. So I'm still in the hospital. I'm really cognizant, and I'm like, they wrap up my arm, treat me with burns. My teeth are fucking in my truck somewhere, so there's nothing you can do about that.
Right.
And then I'm like, all right, you're gonna go home. I'm like, no X-rays, nothing. I'm like, I rang my bell pretty hard, you know, on the side column of the thing, and like all this other stuff, and like, can I at least get some aspirin or ibuprofen? Oh, that's a good idea. I'm like, thanks. You know, my phone died. Tried to call my girlfriend at the time a bunch of times, but she didn't. You know, she was asleep or some bullshit like that. And then, so then I walked from the hospital to the center of town in Northampton to find somebody I knew, which is about like a mile and a half.
Northampton, Mass?
Yeah. So I walked from the hospital to the center of town, about a mile and a half, like all banged up and
fresh out of the hospital. Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 hours later, like I'm inside of a human snow globe in a three-quarter ton truck, you know, with chisels and shit flying. And then find somebody I knew. I was like, I'm probably gonna have a headache tomorrow, so like, it makes perfect sense to go to a bar and like have a shot of whiskey and then get a ride home. You know.
Sounds like my plan.
I hate to ask you this, but tell us about your son a little bit. Tell us about that situation.
Sure. So, I'm a father of 3 children. I am blessed to have 3 children. My daughters, Ruby and Scarlett, they're still alive. So, my first was my son Harlan. And I know this is a big shift in energy, so just bear with me for a second.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I was talking about 2 days after. Let me finish up. Like 2 days after that fight or flight response, after getting hit by the drunk driver, who ended up being a Massachusetts Most Wanted. He lives in Concord now.
Nice.
Yeah,
You know where he lives?
he's in jail for good.
It's funny you know that, though.
Yeah.
Well,
Knows the person he is.
Dude knows where his parents live.
That's what I'm saying.
Dude knows where his sister
Just
lives.
a tag on the wall if he needs it.
Yeah.
No. I don't have that kind of list. Like I actually feel like his family.
Yeah.
I met
Me
actually
neither.
I met his brother, and his brother's a sweet guy.
Bro, you're digging yourself a hole right now.
No, he's just like he's committed to his craft. Like when he was 20 years old, like he had a bunch of DUIs already and like a bunch of assaults on cops and that kind of thing. But he's just like that's his path. Like, but I'll finish this out and then I'll talk about Harlan. 8 years later, I was driving into the same town. I was like for whatever reason, I wonder what happened to that kid. It's like because I'm driving in the same town that I got hit.
Right.
Like I wonder if that kid turned his life around. And like, all right, this is my low point.
Definitely not.
This is my low point. Am I good? Is this my point where, like, all right, I am decided to, like, I realize that I have to make a choice. Mm-hmm. And so I'm either going to turn left or right.
Mm-hmm. And?
Like, I stop in a coffee shop and buy my almond croissant and a nice strong, like, coffee. And I look down. And they're selling the newspaper. Front page of the motherfucking newspaper is the kid that hit me. 8 years later, Massachusetts Most Wanted.
Really?
No.
Yeah. This kid, like I said, he's committed to his craft. So, like, if you're going to do something, do it well. Whatever you're choosing, but also, like, realize that there's consequences to that. So, it's just like, he decided to... he felt that it was reasonable to stuff a gun in his ex-girlfriend's mouth, drag her out to a car, and hold a knife to her throat and drive around while he's yelling at her. And she jumped out of the car and got help, thankfully, and she made it and that kind of thing. But, like, this kid...
Scumbag.
Committed to his craft.
Yeah.
So... That's why I know where he lives. Mm-hmm. He wears orange with a nice blue stripe.
No, you're just thorough.
Yeah. It's like, well, it's
Act like we wouldn't know that.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
If someone hit me like that, dude, I know where you lived.
I mean, like, I had some bad thoughts. Like, I know what, I had a lot of bad thoughts about that. Like, I was like, what kind of person is
You gave
this?
yourself away already, bro.
What kind of person is this? What kind of family is this? That kind of thing. But then I meet the family, and it's just like, they're beautiful people.
Yeah.
Because, like, I met his brother. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
And he carries a lot of shame around a lot of stuff, right? But it's just like he's a good guy, but that's not his coin to carry.
Yeah.
Right? So so it's just, but like we're bound to our names, right? So,
right.
But you were asking about my son Harlan, and I already shared like my most painful physical experience, and
unfortunately.
It's fine. It's physical is fine. Those are all temporary things, right? So, because my body I recognize that as the most painful physical experience I ever had, but I can't go into my mind and have a visceral reaction and think, and I'm back at that space.
Yeah.
So, like PTSD and like stress and loss and all these things. That's a great phone call to get from your dad. I wish I can get mine. I still have the voicemail that my dad sent me. Please answer that. Yeah, I still have the voice that my dad sent me to congratulate me about the birth of my youngest daughter, Scarlett.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and it's just like and then he passed away a few months later.
Yeah.
But the should we wait for Nick or not?
No, you're good.
Okay, cool. I'm glad that he's talking to his dad. I miss mine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
sure.
So losing Harlan, my son, like he was stillborn. I felt him kick, and everything was like tracking in a good direction.
What year is this?
2010.
Okay.
So hit by a truck on my bicycle, 1996, 2006. 2006 was the drunk driver.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, let me back that up because talk about stress and physical stressors and then also emotional stressors, right? So 1996 was getting hit by a truck on a bicycle.
Right.
Right. So that's like a physical challenge, right? Like
Right.
this is my call to greatness physically, right?
Yeah.
And like also like kind of hones like a mindset for mental strength. Racing bikes and all that stuff and like all this like great life, living life to the fullest and like appreciating it. And then my best friend Keith, who would visit me in the hospital, and I would be cracking him up. He would show up to the hospital, try to cheer me up, and he would leave like feeling like he failed because I'm making him laugh and feel better because I'm making my intent was to make him feel better. Like I want to be okay. Like no matter what, like
don't worry about me.
Don't worry about me, bro.
Right,
like we got
no,
this.
I know
Like
that.
and so we ended up we kept on like racing and doing our thing, and then like I finished racing by bikes, and then I went back to school, and then he got sick, and like we were training and doing our normal routine. Like in the spring, we do like it's kind of like you do this. It's like foundations. Like you have like this. You do this at this block of time.
Yeah.
And then you start ramping up and that kind of thing. But he couldn't get his legs to turn over. It's like something's wrong. So he thought it was, the first doctor thought it was like rheumatism, and then this is all locally, and then the next doctor thought, diagnosed him with having cancer, and
That's what it was.
this is 2003 at the time, and so he got diagnosed with cancer, but he got misdiagnosed, so the treatment that he was on was like killing the host, which makes the cancer stronger, right? So.
Right.
And then he got transferred out to Boston. I mean, please go to Boston. Please go to Boston. And he's like, and like, please just fucking go.
That's scary to do, bro. Think about that. You have to accept, like, I might have it, and I have to go.
I live it. So yeah. So
Yeah, especially from your area. It's not like you're 10 minutes outside of Boston.
right. But also people fly around like from all over the world to go there.
Right. Yeah.
So it's like local. Like it's still considered local care if you zoom out. So.
True.
So, by the time he was in Boston, and at that time it was like a Hail Mary pass. Like he was going for a bone marrow transplant, chemo,
Jesus.
and radiation therapy, and
tough.
and at that point, like it was just like you're holding back the tide, with like a strainer,
Right.
and he had the most, and not in a gay way, that kind of thing, but like we're all like, it's like this, like, and not there's anything wrong with that, but it's just like it's like this love that you have for another person. Like this is my brother,
Right.
Dude, you see someone to go through some intense shit, dude. You get respect for him.
This is like my brother. This is my battle buddy. This is my
bro.
guy in the foxhole. This is my like I was talking about before, like we were off camera, but like my neck kind of like not naturally like tilts this way. My head tilts this way. His tilted that way. And so we were like racing together, and like leaning on each other.
Yeah.
It was like Forrest Gump and Bubba, kind of shit. It's just, but I remember holding him in my arms when I was like I had to like fly back to Vegas because I was living out there at the time, and he was in Boston, and I was like I would fly from Vegas to Boston. I would stay with my friend Mikey Two Shoes and his wife Swizz in Dorchester, and it was like 115 fucking degrees temperature shift. Just like because like I'm in Vegas,
Right.
and then I'm flying out to Boston, and I would stay out in Boston, like and like look after my friend, whether he was unconscious, drugged up, or whatever. I would just sit by him, no matter what his state is. Like I'm there. Right. I was like clipping his toenails and shit because I knew
Takes a lot, bro.
he had OCD about his fucking fingernails and toenails, and he couldn't do it. So like I did it.
Yeah.
Right. It's
real shit.
You know, it's what you do.
Right.
Or,
What you should do.
thank you. I was about to say it's what you should do, and that's right. We all know what right is.
Yeah.
It takes balls to do it, right? So,
You know personally it isn't necessary, but you know that person would want it. So you do it.
yeah, I mean, Keith and I would be like going, like we were getting ready to like go to races and shit, or like, you know, whatever, and I'm like, I'm left-handed, so when I set my travel mug, for obvious reasons, it's the handle's on the left side.
Right.
And so I set up the coffee mug like that, and I'm like, then I asked him a question, I'm like you're right-handed, like, oh, like, hold on. And so I would switch it, you know, just to be, you know, and I remember him doing this one time, like, this was like years before he had cancer, we were all healthy and like goofing around and being morons, but it was like, he's like, that is so fucking awesome. Like, it was just like that simple little thing.
That you would think to turn it.
Yeah, because like
You're left-handed, he's right-handed.
yeah, and I'm just like, this is how I normally do it.
Yeah.
But this, like, it's actually thinking not about yourself. Like, yeah, here's your coffee cup.
Right.
And what do you do? Like, it's like you just, all right, it's no big deal, but you just fix
probably
it.
wouldn't think
You just
anything
fix
of
it.
it,
But I'm like,
the
but I
fact that you
thought
thought
about,
ahead,
I
yeah.
thought about my friend.
Right.
You know, and so.
Which he appreciated.
Yeah, and we were like both laughing about it. I'm like, whatever, shut up. Get in the car. You know.
Yeah.
But so yeah, like Keith was in Keith passed in 04, and then my other dear friend passed away in 05. My friend Todd, with his laying in bed with his wife next to him, and
So you dealt with a lot of death, man.
Every time I do like my friend's like, oh, let's do the fucking tarot cards. I'm like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah,
like
no shit.
I draw the death card all the fucking time. You know,
Yeah,
all
rather-
like
rather
hands.
not.
Like I'm good. You know, so but so Todd passed in 05, and then in 06 I got hit by the drunk driver. So just give you like a some continuity there.
Chronological,
Just like it's like fuck, and then at 06, like I'm really mad at God.
Of course.
You know, and like I know we're gonna run over on time, but I have like
I have
it's
no
just
problem
like
with
it's
time.
like I was really pissed at God because like now it became like personal.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, Lieutenant Dan, like, you know, fuck you, like you took my, you know, like I'm supposed to die, and like, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to go through this. Keith was at in Boston, and like he didn't make it. He was 170 pounds when he was fit, and when I carried him in a casket, he was 90.
90 pounds.
Cancer's a motherfucker. It does one thing: it outperforms its host. But
my mother died of cancer.
I'm sorry.
At a young age.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
38.
So when I was living in Vegas at the time, and I had to say goodbye, and like this was like close to the end, because I would like do 2 weeks at a time, and I had to go back because I was like, nice job.
Yeah.
I remember holding him in my arms, and like it's just like I could feel every bone.
Oh, that's the
You know,
worst.
because like this is my friend and my brother. Like we've been through so much together. You know, and so we're talking about PTSD, and like, you know, like this isn't war. This is my life. You know, and I'm in a hospital, and then I'm gonna walk down the street, and no one's gonna know what the fuck Justin goes through because I'm going to Cumberland Farms to buy a cigar.
Like everything's normal.
Right.
Right.
And everyone else is just going to like
normal day.
So hopefully this kind of opens shit up a little bit for people. But it's I remember holding him in my arms, and he had these beautiful blue eyes. You know, and it's just like, because that's what they are, right? And he was hyperventilating, crying. It's like, I love you so much.
You knew what was about to happen.
I'm like all I kept saying is like, don't give up, never give up, just keep fighting, keep going. You got to keep going.
Okay, what else can you do?
You know, and all I wanted to do, you know, and I can empathize with this with my own personal experience with cancer, but it's like all I wanted to do is take that from him, take that from my brother for like 5 minutes,
Just deal with
and
it.
carry
On
that
your own, yeah.
so he can catch his fucking breath and get a break.
Right.
But I can't. That's not my coin to
Damn,
carry.
that's real.
That's not my coin to carry. And I'm watching my friend rot. And like I'm holding him in my arms, and all I want to fucking do, just give me the cancer for a week. I'm a strong kid.
Right.
Fuck you. Like, yeah, just like I'll do this. He can catch a break, and then he'll beat that shit because he'll be like recovered,
Right.
and then cool, we're gonna go back to racing our bikes.
Right.
But that's, I mean,
That's how the world spins, bro.
I mean, again, I got a lot of tabs open, but
No, that's fine, dude.
Justin will be back.
This has been phenomenal, dude. And
no, I appreciate it.
You're talking about a lot of stuff that no one really talks about.
when we talked on the phone, it was a glimpse, and I remember saying to Nick, like, that's a real dude. Like, I said, I don't know this guy from a hole in the wall, but that's a real dude. Like, that's some real shit. He doesn't hold anything back. He's very genuine. I said, we need to talk to him in person. And
Not a lot of people can talk about stuff like this.
I am more than glad that you came.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.
I really am.
No, you'll be back for sure, bro.
And that's, this is only chapter 1 of the story. Like, there's so much more to dig through.
Let's put one up for the first round of the story.
Yeah,
Justin, thank you for coming
absolutely. Thank you.
It's one bottle down, so here you go. Here's your swimming with bow-legged women.
It was more than a pleasure to have you.
No, thank you. I do. I appreciate it.
We look forward to having you again.